but you can.
Recording. Yeah, go for it. Take it away, Karin.
The costs can increase if you book specific rooms, but there are rooms with big screens. So certainly for us all to get together and see each other, as well as whoever's there in the room, can happen very easily. I mean, we can see each other perfectly fine now. It's not that. But if it was more people, more international, more local, could all be in the same place at once, and there's many different spaces available and lots of different opportunities for using technology and Wi-Fi, of course. It's just a new experience to be able to have a meeting somewhere that was COVID safe and not expensive and really beautiful quality surroundings.
Yeah, it's good spot. I've been there a few times. So it's at Chadstone Shopping Centre, above the shopping centre. It's like a co-working space.
Yes.
I was looking actually before the lockdown to go there and get a desk for like 1 day a week sort of thing. It was relatively cheap from memory.
Yes.
But one of my friends actually works there, so I was interested that you picked there to run the event. That's pretty cool, because I was thinking that'd be a perfect spot for like us to run School of Bitcoin stuff from. But yeah, how was the actual event?
For when you want to do that.
Yeah. Cool. We'll have to go check it out. That's great. Yeah, cool. Jacques, did you want to jump into what you've sort of been looking at recently, and all the stuff that you just posted in Discord? I think that's probably a good place to start.
Sure. Yeah. So over the past few weeks, as I've been trying to dive into the app for authentication so that we can get like a type form in for quizzing, just having issues with it. I'm not as much as I can get like little things up and running for myself. I was trying to think of like other people coming in and using this. I'm just not super well positioned to be like our contract development in this case. So but I also wanted to take into account all the work that we did before when we were going through like the curriculum development, and we were like all the questions I was putting out there. And so just in the past couple of weeks, I've been coming up with a way to create kind of a personal portfolio for myself that then others will be able to use. I'm trying to create like a portfolio wallet for myself, just to show what have I added to GitHub, what projects I'm working on, what courses have I taken, and I can show my work, and then also I can connect to different applications. And really a lot of this was inspired by what you were sharing, the TBD, the TBD folks that are creating the new Web 5 they're talking about. So with that, like my plans for right now, just to kind of balance my personal need to kind of like keep trying to find different avenues in Web3, is to create this, it's like a portfolio wallet that will be able to present kind of like abstract, executive summary, also like documentation, or like resources, and then also like a gamification aspect that it'll essentially just be a shell. And then from that, I think we could, as a group, potentially pick and choose what aspects work well for the School of Bitcoin and which ones don't. And once we have like that, that'll be like a front end application. I'll be using Next.js, like a React application. And then I think that would be at least give us something that we could show to developers and just give a proof of concept as we go from there. That's going to be like the next few weeks when I'm
Cool. No, that sounds good. Did you have any sort of documentation you wanted to share? Like if you want to do screen share or anything, or sort of leave it at that?
I just got my phone from you right now.
Okay.
So,
no worries. Yeah. That's all right. No stress. Well, that's all right. Well, yeah, we can kind of leave it there then and pick up with that later. I think the next thing I kind of wanted to get into was a few things actually. So I did a mock-up from last week of a marketplace of something. Now this is sort of early days, I suppose, but hang on, where are we? Too many windows open. So yeah, I just put in a. Can you guys see that? Okay. Yeah. So I've got created a subdomain just called market.theschoolofbitcoin.com. So if you want to check it out. So I was thinking initially just like if we could just put in a bunch of concepts. The first three that came to mind was DeFi, security, and obviously the fundamentals about Bitcoin initially, because that was what I was kind of writing up to begin with. But I thought if we could get, this is Jill's idea, actually putting a marketplace together. The idea I thought was basically having PayPal as the like front end to do that, and potentially having like each, like the author's PayPal so they can get paid directly to them, and also their LURL, so like their lightning address, that anyone who's sort of using this can pay them with that as well. So initially I was thinking, you know, PayPal, and then afterwards you get your lightning address, but I thought, well, why not just have both up? So these are just linked to mine for the moment, but we could do any of the whatever. And I was having a look at the search engine for that. So for this will search like basically anything that's on this page, and each of them I've just put a hashtag that you can search for each of them as well. So I think for like a proof of concept, we can get this up and running pretty quickly, and then actually building out a marketplace from there. Like if we can get some funding to actually build what you were talking about from doing this, I reckon that's kind of the way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What's your feedback?
Yeah, it looks really good. So basically, say I'm a learner, I come along, and do I add? So I add to that. So I've created something in PowerPoint, and I can actually add to it and put a price on it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Within the Bitcoin. So for example, I've got something on Bitcoin that I want to add. So I just add it on that page, or do I go into the one that you've got Bitcoin on and then add it to the back of that?
So initially, I think what we do is, because this is all just there's no submission tool or anything, so I reckon we just build them out, and anyone who wants to submit, we can do like a way for them to submit manually and then put them up. But I think having that, like, but the ability to actually create stuff is like that's like another part to it, right? So we'd probably need funding to actually build that submission tool out, and then having a database for all that stuff sitting there that's searchable and all the rest of it. But we can build it manually for the moment. So that's why the three that I was thinking of to kickstart it with these three, but then having different subjects, because we've got a whole bunch of other stuff like in the bit entry program that we could build out for. And anyone else that wants to submit stuff, they can. So I'll probably put on the page somewhere, like if you want to submit, you know, feel free, and then we can review it, rather than just having a whole bunch of stuff that's up there. I think us kind of reviewing it, putting it up manually, and then saying like, this is what we want to build out. Is kind of the way to go.
Can I just ask, so at the moment you've got sort of that 3 different areas, but presumably I'm just looking at my little list, so you could additionally add something on, say for example, say gaming could be up there, and you could build out the different sort of sectors. Is that the right word to use, maybe?
Yeah. Or I think just for each of these, they could just be like lessons, I suppose, like whatever you want to call them. But having whatever's on your list, we can build that out, and then actually have like links to PowerPoints, whatever we want to do in there. That's easy enough to do. It's just sort of manually doing it for now. But yeah, I reckon if whatever's on your list, let's do it. I'll get them built out, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay.
I've done these to open in a new window as well, so they should be keeping you in the same window. That's all right. Yeah, so that was that. So I reckon let's continue with that at some stage and kind of build it out so we can get some funding to build out a full.
With that marketplace, it's, I suppose, nothing different to what I've seen other people do, is to also have the shop, and you could easily put in, the School of Bitcoin mugs, to a School of Bitcoin t-shirts.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, just because it's the brand, and teachers buy mugs, people buy mugs. You could probably sit that within this marketplace as the shop.
Yeah.
There is one of the boys from Byron Bay has got a marketplace for branding for like accessory items like that. They might be interested in helping us out here.
Yeah.
From Byron Bay Blockchain. I'll find his new site.
For sure. Oh, Alexa, PayPal
Nice.
has permanently banned digital playhouse. Really?
I am done with PayPal. First day I fought and I got it, the termination of, like, there's just no customer support. You cannot deal with them. But I tried registering. I'm setting up things for the foundation at the moment, accounts.
Yeah.
From the company to the foundation company. I tried to set up an account for Digital Playhouse Foundation, and it just suddenly decided, oh, no, you can't have an account. And this is a permanent decision with no explanation. I was actually I was having trouble entering our address, and had to put in a bit of a fake address to get to the next step, and it just decided, no, you're
banned.
Before I even got a chance to upload all our documents, it just banned me. So we can't use PayPal.
That's crazy. Well, yeah. If only there was a computer network that could solve that, right? That's crazy. Well,
but PayPal is so easy for people. You get quick sales with PayPal because they don't give their credit card details.
Yeah, that's right.
We have Stripe, and there's coin payments or something else I'm looking at where people might want to pay with Bitcoin or crypto.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's ironically that's the easy part, isn't it?
I spoke with them the other day, and about incorporating that as a payment method, coin payments into the website. So I'll have a look at that with you later. But
yeah, cool.
I think that kind of interface is great. It's really familiar for people to jump in and engage and learn straight away with a familiar payment sort of method and gateway. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good on you,
All right. Well, that's something to take into consideration then.
I've never built software before, but I'm doing that basically in the advanced diploma reply blockchain at the moment. So just in terms of, I'm learning about like having your business model and then your functional requirements. Like in doing that marketplace, have you built a full software platform before, like so that user face so you can see what it's meant to do and how it pieces together?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
I've got a link there. I've learned lots out of it. I'll drop some links, and it's probably so that because Karen's built some stuff out there, but is that actually what you want it to do?
Yep.
And so there's a couple of things like getting your business model, then your scope, and then your functional requirements. So like I said, I've never built software before. It's really interesting. I'm learning so much. So that might help.
Yeah.
As an exercise to go through, because it's actually looking at how we would apply blockchain to a business model. And so I'll drop an email with some bunch of links and
in the Discord channel.
If you like, or I can just send an email.
Yeah, sure. Only because I've got it open, and that would be really
sure.
Yeah.
I found a software company actually that seemed to have put what I think they're trying to teach us in tape into like a questionnaire, which sort of could accelerate things. So, because it goes through and just asks all the right questions. So maybe see if that helps, and then that could help Kieran understand, or the builders building what you want to build. And then making sure that scope document actually then stops the creep, what they call the scope creep. And so that you stay on track with what you're trying to develop. And it might have been also that all those parts that Jacques seeing that he can see needs, getting it from that concept into that scope and then into the functional requirements. So and that may already be there for the School of Bitcoin, but if it's not, then pulling that together so the developers can stay right on track of what we want.
Exactly. So I've been working with another company that I work with, and it's conceptual. So that's my job, is conceptual. But you're absolutely right. It was that's what they said to me, the scope creep. And so, yeah, exactly. But no, I'm not on.
I'll
I'm
share
not on
something. So let's learn.
I'm great at the conceptual, but I don't program it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's getting to your MVP as well is probably the most important thing. So like your minimal viable product. So like you can build out, like you said, build out all sorts of stuff. But what's the like? There's a matrix you can go through that gets you to that. So it's like your customers on one side, your product on the other, and sort of meeting into the middle of like what do people actually need, sort of. I'll dig it up. Actually, it was really useful for Rocket Shoes. But yeah, having that minimal viable product that you can utilize. So that's where I was coming at with like building out a manual marketplace to begin with. So it's like a visual rather than sort of just talking about it, or even like using other systems as an example, which is good as well. But I think having something that you can actually see is kind of the way to go, and then you can apply for grants and all sorts of stuff like on the back of that. But I think, yeah, if we go through your documents, Gordon, and then maybe go through an MVP.
Yeah, sure. So this company, Net Solutions, actually, their office, they're a software development company, not a blockchain. They don't seem to have Web3 in there, but they've got lots of articles in there with these types of questionnaires, and it's quite well easy readable, especially for someone like me who hasn't developed software before. Jill, so I've just posted that link in there. There's the one there about the business and functional requirements of the difference, and if you join, you can download some PDFs. But there's also some great sections in there about minimum viable products and the likes as well.
Is this the one?
Yeah, got lots of great articles in there, and yeah, once you go into their library, obviously they're looking to build out your software, but there's so much education in there. It seemed to be quite well laid out.
Yeah, that's cool. That's definitely worth going through.
There's one download in there where it takes you, I think you register and you can download the PDF form, pro forms that you can go through. Anyway, let's see if that helps.
Yeah,
cool. That's great. Alrighty. So
I actually thought, I wondered why they're not building out Web3, and they might, they're a global company, they might be able to help us.
Yeah.
We can teach them.
Before we go on so I wanted to go into the learner voice as well, but before that, did you want to speak to that group that reached out to you, Jill?
Yeah. I'll just put their link in. Oh, where's it gone? Oops, my chat window. It's Fearless Plus. Oh, there we go. I'll just put it. So this group, I'm a member of. So you maybe have heard of Tony Robbins, I don't know. So I'm a member of a little group of people, and it's a WhatsApp group, and they're chatting all the time. And I reached out to the group about the School of Bitcoin last week and said, look, this is what our group is doing. And with the current market trends, how would the group, and the group's quite a big group, and a lot of them are, I don't know the specifics of the people in the group, but I know that they're very well connected. So I asked them the questions, a little bit like Karin's provocation, what would you say if you were reaching to a group of high schoolers at the moment with regards to what would you say about the markets for new thin technology? How would you address a group of teenagers when there's so much noise around in the markets? And it was interesting because there were a few, they're always quite insightful, but what was most interesting was this person who, Mike, what's his name? Mike Grushin, who reached back to me and said that they are doing this. It's a very new site that they're putting together. And he said, I wonder whether there's a way we could collaborate.
Yeah.
So I've spoken back to him and said, the group would be very interested in maybe a Zoom call. The only problem is that we're totally in the wrong time zone. Jacques, what time zone are you? Because I think he's down in Florida.
Oh, so I'm just like an hour off from, just an hour behind them. Florida, yeah. So I'm in Central Time Zone.
Okay.
Central Standard.
So what time is it for you now at this particular time?
It is 7 p.m. on Tuesday.
Okay. Okay. So I might set up and see whether he would be interested in maybe joining us next week. I'm not really sure how he thinks maybe he could collaborate with us, and I don't know whether he knows either. I think he was just sort of testing the waters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think more the merrier, really. Like, let's have a chat with them, see where they're at. It looks like, I mean, it's a great initiative from the looks of it. I think that it's definitely worth pursuing. I don't know if I like the idea of TikTok meets LinkedIn, but
well, what was interesting about that was when I showed it to my 16-year-old daughter, she goes, "Oh yeah, I get that."
I get that.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I get that.
She didn't have the knee-jerk reaction to TikTok.
No, because she uses TikTok and she thinks LinkedIn is sort of, for
boring.
like, yeah. Whoa, wouldn't go there. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense then. It's but it's quite interesting. Like, I think the some of the stats they have on here are quite interesting as well. Like the fact that none of them sort of use LinkedIn. That's huge. Like, it's definitely a different world, isn't it? Like, and they even mentioned somewhere on here that the resume is dead and it's kind of migrating to something else. So I think building something specifically for that is cool. So,
I think where it could be of use is, like, I was trying to think about the connection, and if he's maybe putting together this almost like a resume type scenario, maybe there's opportunity for what we're doing. I mean, if we had that marketplace up and running, maybe on their resume they could say that they are regular contributors as degen consultants to the School of Bitcoin or something, and maybe that's something that they can actually add to their Fearless Plus resume.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, definitely. Well, let's definitely tee something up and we'll see if we can chat.
I'll see if I can get him to come in.
Yeah, well, it'd be like 6 o'clock for them ish. So
I'll see what I can do. And again, people reach out and I'll keep the conversation going, see what I can do.
See how it goes. Yeah, cool. Very cool. So the other one I wanted to get into was let's share this again. Should just leave it sharing, really. This one. So I don't know if you had a chance to have a look at this page, Karen, but I put together the learn a voice and make it a bit more readable as a page. So we've got the Provocation 1 that went up, and I'll put the answers to that sort of down the bottom. So
I think it looks great.
So did we want to? Oh, and that person that won never got back. So I'm like, all right. So I don't know if you do know them, Gordon. Yeah, reach out and tell them to ping me back so they can get their stats.
If you can drop us an email with their email, then we can have a look and see if it's one of the kids from here.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'll do that after this.
That'd be great.
So yeah, for the second provocation, did we want to finalize something today, Karen, or did you want to have a think about it first?
I said something last week. I should cut what I said last week. I think I had one in mind. The PMI, the plus minus and interesting. Was that what I talked about?
Yep, got that. Do you want to do that one? I'll share that.
Love the new page. That's awesome.
You reckon it looks all right?
Yeah.
Where are we? Share. Was this the one?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I can adapt it if you want, or come up with another one. I'm very open. It was just a thought.
No, it's cool. Did you want to go through it? Can you read it okay?
I'm happy for it, but whatever you think.
Yeah. Did you want to read through it and kind of explain it?
Right. Young people managing their own finances for today and tomorrow. If you could manage the money you have, pocket money, money you have been given or earned, what would learning about using it in the best ways for now and for as you grow mean to you? Edward de Bono created a strategy for thinking broadly about different things, and one of them is a PMI. What are the P for plus? What are the pluses about this? M for minus. What are the minuses? And I for interesting. What is interesting here? No matter your age, who you are, or where you live, you're invited to share your thoughts about learning about managing your finances for today and tomorrow using PMI as follows to assist your thinking with this. P, what would be the pluses, the good things about this, about managing your own finance, your own money? Minuses, what are the bad things about this? Is there anything that worries you? I, the interesting things about learning about managing your own finances. That's it.
I think it's wonderful. I think that's really, really good. I think we could all probably.
Karin, would you be all right? That'd be great if we could just cut that clip and put it in at the provocation, because that was perfectly spoken and explained.
That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, I will.
Is that okay? I think it'd be great.
Yeah, good idea. Really good idea. Yeah, that's why I wanted Karin to read it instead of me.
What gave me an understanding of what the questions were about when you explained it. It was excellent.
Thanks.
I'd
love to see what the kids say, especially about the interesting things, you know, what it might open up, because that sort of gives room for creative thinking. And the minuses are, you know, what might my mum say about this, or who knows what, or
yeah, well, even the implications for sort of all of us as well. So like, you know, the recent thing with Celsius, like, is that managing your own money, or is it going backwards and relying on somebody else? Like, and there's all these other things that have happened recently that would really fit into that. I'd be really interested to see, like, giving it to the broader community, particularly like for the Bitcoin meetup, and seeing what other people think of that, particularly if they have any have had any issues in the last month or so, which I think a lot of people have. It'd be cool to sort of get their perspective on that, and then from that even build another provocation off that. So that's wonderful, Karin. Thanks heaps for that. I'll post it up today, and then we can start promoting it for the next meetup as well. That's awesome. Really, really cool.
That's a very interesting conversation about, Karin, about what's going on there, and that, like Celsius and what's happening in these platforms. David Schwartz has just done a clip at the opening of a DeFi event. So he was one of the creators for the XRP ledger about DeFi. I'll post it in the chat. It's very, very interesting. And their perspective. Yes, he's XRP, but it's a really interesting perspective about why all this money is needed in the system, what Celsius was actually doing, all the arbitrage and all of the automated market makers. So although, you know, everyone's attacking Celsius at the moment, they're playing an extremely vital role, and lots of these companies are playing extremely vital roles in the ecosystem, and that's yet to play out yet. And in his little clip here, I think you'll be quite interested, because the DeFi market's grown from 115 million to over $1 trillion in transaction or volume in 1 year.
Yeah. So Gordon, can I just want to I suppose, just to continue on that, but the fact that they really don't want Celsius to fail, because if that fails, the unraveling of other areas, like it's all interconnected. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's so
it's sort of the next level. I think it was really interesting, because I've sort of listened to their what products they, or who their customers are, and what services they provide. So have a look at the David Schwartz clip. It's got a lot of interesting points in it, and about the scale at which this is growing, like from 115 million to $1 trillion in trading volume in 1 year. It's like, wow. So that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting. There's so much test network and he explains in it about how a lot of this at the moment is really just all in that test phase, and until we get all these infrastructures built out, and make it usable like a seamless internet. So there's so much work to be done here, and so many things to be built, and it's very exciting.
I think on that point as well, Gordon, one of the problems we have, remembering that if we're coming back to education, we're coming back to curriculum, we have to marry trust and stability and certainty, because whilst curriculums can be about curiosity and they can be about imagination, there also is often a point of truth, and it's very tricky when there is so much that is, I don't want to use the word murky in a negative sense, but murky, and also that element of, can we trust, and therefore that's, I think I said this last week or the week before, that element of risk for educators, and the fact that walls will just be shut down even about mentioning this word crypto because there's so much fear.
Yeah.
Yep. They're good points. It's
Well,
probably one of our main points about this education space. It's like, I'm really interested, like, you know, how Jack Dorsey's new project about advancing people's position in New York, and how that does look like, and then everyone's playing around with all these experimental spaces, you know, so we're trusting it. We think that it's going to help us.
Yes.
So I really think that's important points.
Yeah, it is huge.
And
That's such an important one. Anything to do with finance, people that are, you know, sometimes afraid, excited, but also afraid. And another Bono strategy that might be worth considering sometime along is consequences and sequels. What would be the consequences of doing some of these things? What sequels might come out of it? Just trying to understand that what can happen from it, and looking at it again broadly, because it can be amazing, wonderful things, but what if? And again, just looking at, yep, what could happen now can be really good, but what about next year or next month if we just keep doing the same thing, or you know, going back?
It's a great point. That's the number one thing. Yeah, I guess that I learned way back when I was, say, 18. There was a stockbroker, Renee Rivkin in Sydney, and it was his thing. He said, you know, the first thing I always ask is, well, what's my downside?
Yeah.
So this all looks good. It's exciting, but you know, I must consider my downside.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, now going to that trust model as well, Jill, I think that's really important. Which kind of brings me to an idea that I had. I think I've pinged you just briefly on it, but there's so many like courses that are already online, like for crypto, for DeFi, for a whole bunch of different, like, and they're free. Like there's a myriad of them. I thought, like, between us being like that, we have a platform already, maybe going through some of them, either as a group or as individuals, and then putting a star rating to them and having like a marketplace of courses that are available, and whether we would sort of recommend them to other people or not.
Well, I think I really like that idea. I think you sent it through during the week, and I had to think a little bit about it. And I think you always have to be careful with that recommendation, because it's like, what are we recommending it on? So maybe it's not so much a star rating, but maybe it's Karen's +-0 rating, where so we're not actually, because I wouldn't like to think that we said it was, you know, a 5 out of 5, so go do it, but maybe it's more the +-0. And
Love it.
yeah, and the other thing I think in building that marketplace also is you're dispersing that responsibility to people who are actually putting their own resources up there. And so you're not, one, content having to produce all the resources, which is very onerous, but two, enabling other people to benefit from, you know, dispersing their own resources. And maybe there can be a +-0 on some of the resources that go up that we could actually take a look through and do that. I just don't know how labor intensive it will be.
Yeah, it could be a little bit, but I think, like, I've already done a bunch of them already, and like, you know, just for fun, just to see sort of what's out there. So I think it depends like what everyone's sort of mindsets are, but I think it could be really valuable, and I think it could be like integrated into the marketplace as well. So you have, like, you know, our stuff that we're creating, submissions from other people, and then here's a list of stuff that already exists. And like, this is not rating, but and not recommendation. We need a different word, I think.
I think the language is really important.
Yeah.
Saying, you know, we're rating or saying, but you know, we're so interested in all these areas and how we can, you know, really help people become more financially literate. Maybe we should, and what we have been doing is exploring lots of different options that are out there, exploring the possibilities and exploring what's already there, and thinking about what we've been looking at, it's really interesting to find out more about what's happening already and how it fits so well with what we're doing, or the questions that it raises, or just playing with words, really.
Yeah. I think that'd be really, really worthwhile. But yeah, no, I love that idea of using the plus minus, and like interesting for the PMI.
I think it's really critical, especially going into this world of decentralized organizations. As you go up into, you know, someone puts up a proposal, well, how does it become a proposal? It's because there's been a community discussion first. So if they've got some sort of, but quite often not everyone's got time to go in and be part of the discussion, but they will take value in what others who have already said. So if you're coming in and you go, look, I need to vote on that, or I want to participate in the voting, I want to see quickly what the bulk group has thought, and they've been in the discussion. So it might apply, say, for example, if there's a learner wants to do a project and they apply to the foundation, to the School of Bitcoin for some funding, then obviously they put up their grant application, if you want to like, and for discussion, and people can ask them questions about it and then see if it's worthwhile funding, or make suggestions about to make it, you know, to help them be successful in their funding. So, you know, some sort of rating, ranking system for the School of Bitcoin would be good.
Gordon, you just
sort of,
it does. You just prompted when you were talking then, maybe this is a little bit going back a few steps, but we've had, who was it who brought in the school and in Melbourne, and he was starting up the big school. Sorry, I can't remember his name.
Oh, Peter.
Yeah, I just wonder whether, as we're talking and sort of thinking more about this marketplace and thinking more about the decentralization of the curriculum, because in allowing students and learners to come in and actually create elements to the curriculum and then put them into the marketplace and place value on them, I wonder whether to bring Peter back into the conversation, because he's all about running running schools the way for learners. I mean, this would be a very empowering way of enabling his learners to, one, essentially put value on their work, but two, write the curriculum and have it distributed in an authentic way.
Yeah, for sure. I could reach out to him and see why not.
Yeah. Sorry, Gordon, because that came to me as you were talking.
Yeah.
And some of you may have contact with different students that you're working with who you think, gee, it'd be great to have him or her express their thoughts about this, or what they, you know, to get a whole mixture of kids can be really powerful, because everyone's affected in different ways. And from what Jill and Gordon are saying, it's really emphasizing the value of collaborative learning, how we can all learn from each other. I mean, that's what's happening with us here. They're having children involved in it too, and knowing that, hey, your ideas are, you know, we're listening to them. It's really good to share ideas, because we all learn from each other and can build something together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just thinking logistically, would it be worth kicking off maybe next week? And like I'll find something during the week that's not too labor intensive in terms of going through, and then maybe we can have a discussion about how we would rate that whatever course it is that I go through and find, and then together we kind of come up with a way that's not I guess not as binary as good or bad, but like having a way to articulate like what we think about it as like a group,
like a rubric or a criteria sheet.
Something that's I'm taking on board what you're saying. Like you don't want to star rating, you don't want to like openly go and just diss somebody's work as well. It's online, that's like free. You want to make it as sort of open as possible. So
but I think you do need to put sorry, Jack. I was just going to say, I think we do need to think about commercial value of people's work, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone I know who does a lot of ways of collecting children's ideas and has them all put up on, and teachers and everybody's ideas all up on, or it could be on whiteboards or on big sheets of paper. And a lot of the ideas are discussed, but he has another board called Parking Lot. We'll park that idea here for now and come back to it later. So it's not writing it off, but it's saying, this is something we need to think about more. Thanks a lot.
I should have put Celsius in the parking lot.
Yeah, gosh. So what were you going to say, Jacques?
Oh no, I was just piggybacking on what you were saying, like is going from like the rating system to, if we go through these courses, like maybe creating like a write-up on Substack about like the elements of the course that we're going to be incorporating into the School of Bitcoin, showing how, like, as we're learning from them, what we're going to build off it, like how can we create content based on what we learned from these. Maybe I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, cool. No,
like,
definitely. I think it's kind of the way to go. Good jump off point, because we could be creating, like you said last week, Jill, creating like dense content that nobody wants to read. Which is easy to do.
And if we were really thinking like scaling this marketplace for people who want to actually place their value products and commercialize their products, teens who maybe know something about it, they want to put some PowerPoints together and stick $5.95 on, and then School of Bitcoin actually take 15% off that, they get the rest, or maybe we take more, I don't know. Then they can be doing it in any language, you know, the Spanish, the Japanese, it can be really scaled. And I think we do need to keep thinking about the opportunity to scale the platform and not think about the labor intensive of what we have to do, but more as draw in through the boundaries and the parameters that we put together, so that other people place the content and they make a little bit of money off placing it on our platform. We are essentially like Thinkific.
Yeah. Well, I don't like the teachers pay teachers model. I think it's really good. Well, learners pay learners, as I put on the
learners
website.
Pay learners. Yeah,
I think it's a really nice idea. But yeah, that mechanism, like the actual marketplace mechanism of, you know, purchasing stuff, that's quite complicated. So we'll probably have to get developers to build that side of it. But if we can get a visual up of like how we want it to look like, and then get some funding, so like a POC or proof of concept, and then get some funding in to actually get that built out, I think that'd be really good. The other thing that wanted to just touch on quickly is Jenny from Stacks got back to me. So I sent her and Adam an email just explaining like that we've decided to put the whole Stacks stack into a pool, and kind of leave it there. Specifically, I was like, well, because we don't want to dump a bunch of stacks in a bear market, like it's not going to be good for the community. So they were really appreciative to reached out and told them that. But she had a good suggestion of maybe doing like a blog post, or I was thinking a video between us sort of explaining how like we've done it before, but maybe like a succinct sort of thing on how the metrics or how the mechanics of that will work in terms of what, like transparency. So like why are we putting it into a pool, and what are we planning to do with that? So I think if we can kind of articulate that between us, and I know Gordon and Electra, you've had learners in to the Digital Playhouse that could potentially do, you know, some problem and project-based learning projects already. So it might be good that we can kind of do that as a group. So I don't know if we want to do that today. Do we want to have a think about it for a week and maybe do a video like kick off next week, or what do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. It could probably lead on from that well, the parts that are put together about the Digital Playhouse Foundation and about the different projects. So it's now expanding out those projects.
Yep. Yeah,
and
exactly.
seeing,
So maybe we do, instead of me just ranting into a camera and posting it to them, maybe we do like a write-up, and then all of us can have a little say in that for next week. I think that'd be cool. So I'll do a Google Doc, and we can just dump in some ideas and kind of go from there. And I think it's important to have everyone sort of have ownership over that and have a say as well. Yeah, so that was that. And so we can do that for next week. And then, the Web 5 stuff. Do we want to go through that briefly?
Just on that bit about the transparency in the Discord for Stacks Australia, I did a write up there about Stacks Australia. And so it goes through all those points. If you go into the Discord for Stacks Australia, there's about Australia, and it's got everything in there about, so it is transparent about who we are, and it's got the Stacks.
Cool, you posted it here. Great.
Got the Stacks wallet in there. Look, if everyone has a look at that and see if you're happy with what, because it's completely transparent about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And where to find work and how to make it really collaborative. So if anyone wants any changes to that, just let us know.
Brilliant.
I ran it by Kieran.
Yeah, that was really good, Gordon. Actually, we should post that on the.
But that's that next step now is okay. Well, what are we doing with the stacking pool? How we're going to build it out? It'd be great to find out off Stacks too about this NFT box that they were talking about. To start building up a bigger stacking pool, because we've put in there at one of the targets they suggested to us that we look to get at least 130,000 stacks, so that we can run our own stacking pool out of a high rate wallet. I think we just get a slightly greater return. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure like why it's like that's the minimum you have to have your own pool, but I don't know.
I think it varies too. Might vary according to price. I'm not sure, because I think it was 90,000 I went once there, and then it went up. So I think it does vary.
Fluctuates.
I'd have to look in a bit.
Yeah, we could probably ask them what the process is, but I think. Yeah, I mean, to kick off, having the Xverse and having the pool is definitely the way to go. I'll post this actually. I forgot about that. I'll put it on the website, and then maybe next week we can jump from that and do a little video as well to go with it. I think that'll be cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for that, Gordon. That was really good.
And Gio, I also had I shared with you the Digital Playhouse Foundation pitch, which has projects in there. I'm not sure if you saw that as yet.
Is that in which one's that one in? Sorry, I don't know whether I did.
I'll reshare it with you. I think you're in there. Yeah, you're in there. So I'll post that link. I'll post that link up there. So it's just a presentation. So it's like looking at the different projects and how we might go about having people contribute. So the benefit of having the Digital Playhouse Foundation, if you've got a project, we can receive donations, which can go directly to that project.
Okay.
And yeah, I was coming up with some ideas, as to how to put that into the website, so people can actually go in and choose. And it's similar to the pluses and minuses. Like, you've got a project there, people who might think about contributing to your project, they go, hey, that's a great idea, but I want to know a bit more about it. And that can be a bit of a discussion. There could be a discussion space. I've got some ideas around that. So cool. I'll copy that into the link here for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
And I also put in there too, just in that, I might just share that there, if that's all right, Kieran.
Yeah, go for it.
Where can I find that?
Security. Yep. Should have sharing. Yep, beautiful.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Oh yeah, so it's just a Digital Place Foundation. So it's just a slide deck about the foundation and about where we're going. I had put in there obviously the directors, and then I've got some core contributors, even though we're School of Bitcoin. So this is not public, but I'll put that up there if everyone's happy. If you can have a look at that document. And then we go right down through, and there's the different projects that we've got. So Coding for Kids programs, I want to raise some money for that. The decentralized EDU marketplace, Bitcoin mining projects. So different ways in the School of Bitcoin. So different projects we got that we might want to get specific funding for.
Yep, that's good.
So if everyone can have a look at that, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the marketplace is definitely something to.
Yeah, it takes a lot of that. Although I know it's going to be a lot to build out, I think it takes a lot of the labor intensive, but also that responsibility that comes back to the core of the material that we're producing. It's produced by our learners. And I think we started off saying, what is a decentralized curriculum? Actually, that way, doing it the marketplace way, one, we're hitting a few goals. We're able to make it viable in that it will be commercial product. Two, we're able to scale it everywhere, like anywhere. If we are able to get our brand and our message out effectively, anybody could put up, just like Teacher Pay Teacher, you could put up Japanese, you could put Vietnamese, you could put up any of your resources could come in with a tag on it. And the most importantly, we're not responsible per se for that content, just like Teacher Pay Teacher. I mean, obviously, if there's something that is inappropriate, then there needs to be a moderator sense that looks over the overall project. But essentially, it's a great way of really building out a decentralized curriculum through our learners.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it does mitigate like all the responsibility as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you have
and one person having to pump, pump content.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's really cool. I'll keep working on the marketplace like mock-up proof of concept. I reckon if we can integrate the reviews, if we want to call it, of content that's already out there, I think having that is really important as well. And how we get the language around that. Karin, you'll be really good at that. And building that out, I reckon it's a great idea. And if we can get funding for it, that'd be awesome. I think we can even go like the traditional route, I suppose, for funding on that. Like it's something that would probably resonate with a lot of people, and you can kind of see the model for Teacher Pay Teacher already, like doing that, but it's learn pay learner sort of thing. So that's great. That's really good. Did we want to go through this one again? I'll just share it. Because I thought it was really cool. Because I mean, there's some stuff that's over my head, I think, with this. But this is what Jack Dorsey posted a couple of weeks ago, based on what they're building, what they're calling Web 5, which I kind of hate the name, to be honest, because it's like I was on a podcast the other night, we were talking about it, and it's like the whole Web 3 thing. I think it's still like a viable name. Like it's so sort of silly to jump ahead numbers, even though it's arbitrary numbers, like it doesn't really mean anything. But I think the whole thing that sort of held back Web 3 as a narrative was the fact that, people were sort of tokenizing it and trying to, like, there was a lot of scams and saying, this is Web 3 and, it's vapeware sort of thing. But my argument is that like Web 3's kind of been built already, right? Like, so if you look at things like IPFS protocol, like we could take this video that we're on now, or even a photo between all of us. Each of us have a node set up on your computer for IPFS, pin that photo that we've taken between the six of us, and then that's sitting on a distributed network, not controlled by somebody else. That, in my mind, that's Web 3. So it's not, you're not beholden to Google or Microsoft or Amazon or these third parties that can just delete your work at a whim. It's literally, your content is yours and potentially hosted by your friends. Like it's pretty awesome. And we like the arguments we made that, Web 1 was ownership of content, but we didn't have the protocols and the infrastructure to make it so it was decentralized. So I think it's kind of been built. So that was why I was excited when they kind of announced this anyway. But basically doing a bit of a dive into it, there's some stuff like I kind of didn't understand, but the decentralized ID or DIDs, I think is like, that's kind of one of the core components. And if you remember back a few years ago, there was Microsoft specifically looking at DIDs built on the BTC blockchain specifically for longevity. So they were like, no, we're not spinning up another blockchain. We're not building on even Ethereum. We're building on the proven blockchain that's the longest living and the one that's never been hacked. Specifically, we're using that so your DIDs can kind of last forever. So a DID is basically an identifier to an individual that can be spun up and doesn't exist in sort of one place. It's on a distributed network or a decentralized network. And in this, they call them decentralized web nodes. So essentially hosting hosting the DIDs, but also hosting what they call, skip down. So they kind of go into the web nodes, but where are we? DWAs. So if you're familiar with a progressive web app, which is basically, you know, when you go to like YouTube or Twitter, and you'll see up in the right-hand corner of your browser. So if you're in Chrome, you'll get like a little plus, and you can actually install that app onto your computer or onto your phone, and it acts as like an app on your phone. So they're proposing sort of doing that, but in a decentralized way. So those DIDs, from my understanding, would talk specifically to this decentralized web app, which sounds pretty cool. So it means you could, you know, have like in the same way you can have a website. So I think even the School of Bitcoin is a PWA. I think I've set it up like that, so you can actually just click it and install it, and it pops up on your desktop or on your phone front page sort of thing. But they're doing that in a decentralized way. So it's not predicated on a host sort of thing, which I thought was pretty awesome. Then the other thing that I thought was pretty cool, where are we? Yeah, this sounded pretty interesting. So like from memory, from what I've listened to, and I would like to actually get somebody that can articulate this like this process, and then they kind of go into like other apps that they can build on top of it as well. But the banking process I thought was really interesting, and this is what, from my understanding anyway, like they have your DID, and that the resolver for that isn't your bank, like it's not your institution. So at the moment, like when you log into a online banking, so whether that's, you know, Combank or I use Up, which is like a neobank, you're talking to their server and they're authenticating you are who you say you are. Rah, 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 rah. This kind of replaces that model. So it takes the bank out of that and uses the DID resolver instead. So the banks are talking to that rather than to your phone or you as an individual sort of thing. So I thought that's awesome. So if they're actually building that out, that could really revolutionize everything. So that was my big takes. I don't know, did Jacques, I know you went through it as well. Did you have anything that you thought was kind of outstanding from it?
Yeah, I really like the DID aspect, and I didn't even know there's like a decentralized identity foundation.
Really?
So I guess this is just like a protocol that's existed, and they're just kind of like drawing from that. And also another thing, so like I joined their Discord, and they have within that they have a credentials working group. So really working on, okay, how are we going to implement the DIDs within different communities? So I'm trying to dig in. Like I want to like really go through the TB decks, as they call it. That they have a white paper for that, and try to see how this can make sense. Because even the portfolio wallet that I was talking about, sorry, my phone is the portfolio wallet I was talking about before. I have it with the DID in mind. So like the way that they have it modeled, there's something called an SSI, like the self-sovereign identity.
Oh, yep.
But they want to have people or institutions that issue those to people. So like as I was looking at that, I was like, that seems like the School of Bitcoin could be like an issuer of self-sovereign identities for the learners within the network. So then like if the School of Bitcoin can be like, yes, you're now a learner within the network, you're operating within Web 5 or Web 6, whatever we want to call it, in a couple of weeks. But within that, then they'll be able to operate, they'll be able to use that to create a course to put onto the network, or they can use it to track their progress within their own learning. So yeah, it looks really interesting. And I think that the like SSI, like if potentially like the School of Bitcoin could issue that to learners, and then like you were saying with the decentralized ID, if that can be used in a way to really hold everything that they're learning with. So
yeah, I thought that was exciting. Did you want to go through this at all? I thought this is quite interesting.
Yeah, sure. So this is really just like a translating everything we talked through before into like just like a front end web application that could then have like Web3 aspects coded into it. So it really goes from the left side, that's really just like an introduction to what the course is, or not the course, but like whatever, whether it's a course or it's a person's profile.
Yep.
And then it goes through like, it's kind of modeled after kind of like a white paper or a light paper. So it would go through like an abstract based on like the high level responses that they had. It goes through like an executive summary that will have, this is my personal roadmap for the next, say, 6 months, or this is, if it's on an institutional scale or an organization scale, this is what our group is going to be doing for the next year or a couple of years. And then it gets into, I know we talked about branding and all of that. So the idea with this is the School of Bitcoin could have a profile like this that, I mean, there might be an official website up, but this could be something that we could direct people to be like, if you want to know a little bit more about like behind the scenes, this is kind of what it is. It's like a interactive white paper. But within this, there will be an aspect for like portfolio or a marketplace where maybe a learner or an organization would be able to list up the things that they have that they're offering. And then the documentation aspect could be where the School of Bitcoin, or maybe some of the learners, are adding in their own courses for themselves. And I think this could potentially drive well with the way that Jill's talking about creating the marketplace. But yeah, this is just initial wireframes that I threw up. But I'll be adding in like the actual, like the colors, the fonts, and all that you've already responded to before. So this will, like, the next week, the idea is to have this initial thing populated with some of the work that we've already talked through together. So
brilliant. That's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. That's seriously bringing it all to life. That's fantastic, Sharks.
Yeah. Interactive white paper. I love that terminology.
It's sort of like what I was talking about before about that business model, but this is like it's the next level, bringing it all to life and turning it into for the coders to build it out.
Sure.
Well, Gordon, I'm really excited to send over what you sent through, Gordon, because I think it'll be a perfect like checks and balance to be like, because there's going to be so many things within this that are missing. So I think using that to fill in the spaces. And then again, the idea is then I'll be able to just put this up on GitHub, and someone will be able to pull it down, create the React app within their own machine. They could see how it operates, and then they could tweak the code on their end, and then they could push it up, and then that would have that's essentially a new node within the network. So
love it. Brilliant. Really brilliant.
Yeah, that's
next level for non-coders. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And like the way that you see it's a bunch of like spaghetti soup of all the connections in there. This is just it's in Figma. So that's a pretty inviting design software. So even next week, it's not going to be the coded out version. So like the final designs will be in, but I'm going to have way more connections through here so that like I'll be able to send it to each of you, and you'll be able to use it from your phone to just click through and to see how things flow.
Awesome.
So just like, and then I'll be able to share the Figma file with you as well. So then people can come in, start adding comments on how things should change or like wording. And we can kind of keep building on it from there.
Brilliant.
Is Figma a tool for developers?
It's like most designers are using Figma, and then I think developers like it because you can just kind of hand things over to developers. They can click through it and see what the designers find. So it's like it's a prototyping tool for like user interface and user experience.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. I've been trying to build it out in Hyro, but this looks great. That's awesome.
Really good.
Actually, here, let me share this prototype. I'll drop it into the Discord, just so you can see on your end. But again, this is like really like just the initial level of this, and then I'll keep sending updates. Let's see, everyone. Here we go.
Thanks very
No,
much.
I have silly like naming and wording in there. Don't worry about that. But yeah, here, I'll drop it here. That's the Figma file for the prototype. It's over in Figma. So it should pull it up on your computer, and then there's only a couple buttons that are actually live, and you'll run into some dead ends. So you might have to start it over again because it's not fully linked up. But yeah.
And I'll just sign up and we can have a squeeze. Design.
And yeah, this is just born out of like just knowing that I needed my own portfolio, and I've been putting up a website, so many things, and that'll be a similar thing to a lot of like that the website that you shared, Jill.
Yep.
About like people needing to have a resume that they can walk away with.
Yeah.
And with them, I think this. I mean, I'm sure they have so many insights that we could learn from and build on. I think that could be a cool partner.
Does Figma sort of set out all the functional requirements in a map which the developer can then view and read and build off? Is that right?
There are some other applications that literally turn into design into like the code. This one, the developer will still need to look at it and recreate all of it. They might be able to export it as CSS. They can export SVG files, but it gives a developer a good sense of like how things should flow. So like they'll be like, okay, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do here, instead of just looking at like a design brief. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And there's so much that you can get from it just being the free tier of it. I paid for myself. Free tier is super accessible, and there's a massive design community where you can go in. Even like that Bitcoin design site that I brought up before, and that's just like an open source community of people who are creating design resources for Bitcoin. They have a free template that you can get on the Figma community. You can just search through there, and you can bring them down, and then you can just rework it for yourself. So I think that's where I kind of want to get this to a certain place where the School of Bitcoin will have its own Figma file that shows all the resources. It says the wording. It says how we want to share things on Substack, how we want to share things on Twitter. So like when others in the network want to contribute, they could just download, like it's essentially going to be like a brand book. Yeah, like a white paper or a brand book, however you want to look at it. But then that'll be something that exists on Figma that people will be able to pull in, update, and evolve how they need to.
Very cool indeed.
Is that Bitcoin.design?
Yes, yeah, and they're like one of my favorite groups to learn from. The way that they organize their GitHub account is really, really interesting. Like they have like the way that they track all their issues in there, and like it's tied into the website really well. So yeah, once I finally get back into GitHub with all like once this is turned into an application that people can interact with, once I put it up on GitHub, the way the documentation will work so people can understand the process it'll really be following the Bitcoin design guide, because if they already have all these resources, if we just port those over to like what we're doing with the School of Bitcoin, then the Bitcoin design community will be able to start supporting and helping as well.
Yeah,
ideally.
that's awesome.
Awesome.
Very cool. We should reach out to them, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
The sharing permissions on that Figma file said it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I had the same problem.
Oh, I see. Okay, here, let me change that. And with the link. It might be updated now, but I'll also share the link again in case. Oh no, it looks like you guys got in.
Yep. That's good. Yep, it's done it. Perfect.
Yeah, for right now, the only thing that works is hitting that middle, the center bottom button. Oh no, like the actual in the toolbar.
Sorry. Yeah.
And then within that, if you click those, it'll take you like the different to different areas. But then you get stuck at a roadblock. I didn't code it how to get back, so you kind of have to get back on your browser.
Okay. Cool.
It'll take you back, but yeah, that's all.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is
really
wired
good.
up. Because since this will give, like, learners could potentially have this on their own, and then within what they're doing, they could have, like, they can define their own brand. They could define their own, they could have their own little mini blog. They can have all of that, and then within their portfolio, that could house all the NFTs that they get from the marketplace to be like, this is all the stuff that I've actually done.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's awesome. What a cool concept. God, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on Figma. It's so
really
cool.
good. Yeah.
Figma's really good.
These are all super important things. Like as we get all these learners coming through wanting to build projects, it's going, here's a suite of really excellent tools that you can follow to build your project.
Yeah, I've been working with the woman. She's like kind of like mentoring me through this. But even when I was working through everything with you all and like asking all those questions, it was all over the place. Like I knew where I wanted it to go, but it wasn't as quick as it could have been. And like I kind of went through the same process with her. And I actually like that circular form. It's like
this one.
That is. Yep. I got that from watching how she guides people through things. So like she's learning about the tech side of it, and I'm learning about how she's able to like guide people through building up their own ideas in a certain way. So I've gotten a lot clearer on the questions that we can ask. So Gordon, I'm excited to look through that business checklist and all the questionnaires that they have. Yeah. Because I think a great place for us to get would be to like bring back like the gamification that Jill had before. Like how can we turn creating a course or creating a small community of learners into a game where they're flipping these cards out, they have a different question to answer, and as they go they fill in all the spheres, and then their own little group, or even if it's just individually, they have an executive summary. They have like a brand for themselves, and like if they build out this idea as they learn, maybe they build a completely new company that is, like as they're going through school, they might get a group together, and I don't know, the ideas can go wherever.
Yeah, I love that.
So all right, it's good. It's exciting. It's happening.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So the questions we all did before, they will be visualized here finally after months. So
awesome. Oh, great work, Jacques. This is really awesome.
Thanks.
Really good work. Yeah, cool.
That's given us some homework for today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing with that next when I get a spare moment. Yeah.
Yeah, all of these processes are very much aligned with what we're doing at the Advanced Diploma of Applied Blockchain. Wow. They're actually taking you through the whole process. I didn't realize it's sort of all coming together for me now at about the third part of the course. It's actually like building out an application and without the code. So it's really great, Jacques, that you're sharing from the coder's side and saying, well, I need this to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Thank you.
It's wicked. Yeah, well, even the marketplace, we could probably build something out with this, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask? So I'm in there. I'm just looking at sort of the back end. So it feels a little bit like Canva in that it's got your work in there that I've shared. Is that right, Jacques?
In where you're looking?
So I've got in that Jay Majerison team space, I can obviously see the work. So it feels like in that collaboration, it feels a little bit like Canva in the way that we would use Canva, like in a design marketing sense, that collaboration is there. I can see what you've got. And if I wanted to create my own account, well, I've got my own account, but upgrade from free to, do you use a paid account or is it free?
I do. Yeah, I do use
Okay.
paid. Just yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. Because I've got a paid Canva account and it just feels very similar in that back end. Okay.
Yes. And it's interesting. My sister uses Canva and she was telling me about it yesterday. And I never really dug into it. I was like, this is a really powerful tool.
It is.
And I feel similar to what I think similar to what we do on Figma. It would be really cool to get School of Bitcoin resources up on Canva that
on
people
Canva.
can just kind of like remix. And so like the fact that, Canva I'm sure a lot that we do here can be duplicated in Canva just so we can kind of broaden our reach with these different communities. So,
yeah. Okay. It's good.
Very cool.
yeah.
I'm just going through some of the.
Yeah, maybe I could just start a group since I do have a paid account. Maybe I could start a group that can house some like the different Bitcoin, the School of Bitcoin design files in one place.
Awesome.
Yeah, the foundation might be able to get a
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
be able to get
That's
access to.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, good.
I'll to look into.
And here, and I'll go to the community. I'll find some of the Bitcoin design files, and I'll drop those in just so you can see some other examples.
That'd be cool. Just looking at, they've got like people have built out like NFT marketplaces and a whole bunch of marketplace stuff already.
Yeah,
heaps.
Yeah, it's really nice in there. It's great. It's such a big community around.
Not that we want to build an NFT marketplace, but did you guys see the protests yesterday? I think it was in New York or something, and it's so weird. There's like these people holding signs saying God hates NFTs.
Does he?
Like what? How? Like it's gotten bizarre. Like how is that even a thing?
But the NFT's reaching way beyond art. So
yeah, I can't even fathom how you would get a group of people with signs like that together. But anyway, yeah. This is great. Oh, thanks, Shark.
Yeah.
I think
There's a lot of learning in here.
a lot to go on with. Well, let's leave it there. I know Electra, we've scheduled in some Google Apps time, haven't we?
Yeah, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a look at quite a few things, how we've got our Google Workspace set up. I've got a new subscription of like the Full Business Pro for charities set up. So we're going to we need to do a migrate. I've got a .org.au domain as well for Digital Playhouse. And that's only allowed, like you have to prove you have a charity, not for profit, to have a .org.au. So I think it's a good one for us to use for credibility.
Okay.
So we can have, it's a very low cost, like it's a 75% discount on adding email addresses and using the full workspace features. So it's pretty good value. Google Workspace is very useful. And we also need to migrate our website, which is currently on Wix. Wix, it works okay, but I'd like to get Kieran in there and help me to upgrade it all. So it's all waiting. We have a bank account card now, and so I've been able to set things up. I've sorted things out with Google.
But no PayPal.
No PayPal. I'm fine with that. We have Stripe. I've set up Stripe and everything, but we need to set up Stripe for donations. And so I'm going to get Kieran on the case with me, and after this, then we'll get things sorted out.
Sounds good.
And everything that we're talking about here, we can bring it into pages on the Digital Playhouse website for more reach as well.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Yeah, and for Jacques and Jill, I'm just with the foundation. I mean, look, we've got the School of Bitcoin project and that, but there's such a great resource there we can utilize to raise capital for things that we're doing here. Have a look at that slide deck I put up, and it's just not about us; it's about like what we can do here. So let's use it.
That's the idea of having a registered charity. So it's not about individual investors. It's we can do projects with it. Without
Okay,
having
yeah.
So what
Mm.
and mapping out, you know, how funds come in and where they go and how they sit and how you can access them.
Thank you.
Bit like Stacks Australia, you know, it's there and the fund's there and Kieran's in, you know, well, the community's there and Kieran's the head of that. Similarly, if it's your project, the marketplace or whatever, and then you can manage that and with your community, you know. So that's how I.
And we don't pay tax.
Sorry?
No tax.
And
It's
we
quite
don't pay
incredible.
tax. So we can do things without paying tax.
That's
Which
good.
is
Very cool.
good. Not that we have anything against paying tax, but it's,
No, of course not. No.
we don't need-
Roads are wonderful. We love roads.
You know what? I was having this discussion.
I pay tax outside of Digital Playhouse.
just to finish off, I was having this discussion the other day with like taxes specifically. Like, I would be happy to pay more taxes if you could see like where they were going in real time. So if you could like we've got the tech, why can't we do it? Like, I want my money to go to
blockchain government public administration is happening. Have a look at what's happening in Brazil. Tax administrations can be put onto blockchains. It can be visible.
can be done. Yeah.
Public money can be transparently managed.
Exactly. Like I think the resentment is that it just goes into a debt black hole. Like, I want to see where it's going and I want to have a say in where it's going and who it can help. Like, it's not that hard. Like, why can't we could do it tomorrow afternoon? Really?
I'd like to start with APO.
yeah, exactly. Right. That's
So
crazy.
that's it. I mean, our public monies could be tracked. Blockchains, very, very useful, and I think it would help the people working in government too, to you know, function as well. So oh, Jill's. Fair enough. I'm a tax agent. I have strong opinions about that.
I also have very strong opinions and agree with you all.
Utopia. Yeah. I have seen that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Well, on that note, let's leave it there and we'll pick up next week. Thanks for the homework, Chuck.
Yeah.
Thanks,
It's awesome.
Great.
Really cool. All right. We'll speak then. I'll call you back, Electro.
Yep. 5. All right.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Bye.